SMS messaging in both marketing and in customer service is often overlooked, with businesses tending to gravitate towards email marketing or email communications to deliver key information. But with SMS marketing, you can deliver that information a lot quicker and faster to your customer's phone. Well, in this episode, I will be discussing the benefits of using SMS messaging with Daniel Pino of TourOpp Go, and how this can benefit not just your purchase journey in trying to persuade your customers to book one of your products, but during an experience as well, to deliver key information like pickup points, or if something happens on a tour that you have to cancel for any reason. Especially during COVID, when we're becoming a lot more touchless society, when we don't want to pass things across or hand things to a customer, SMS messaging is another great way of getting around that issue. So welcome to the Digital Tourism Show, episode 259. Hi, Daniel. Thank you again so much for joining the Digital Tourism Show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I know we've known each other for a little while now. I think we first met at, was it WTM? Was that the first place that we met at?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
2017 probably. That
Yeah.
was probably the first one.
Wow, that was a good fear. If only we could be back in 2017 now, that would be, I think we'd all be happy or happier. But obviously we're here to talk about SMS messaging and how that can help grow your business. But before we get into that, do you mind giving a little bit of a background on yourself and how you actually found yourself in the tours and activity sector?
Of course, of course. I think I had a passion for traveling that started back in college when I did a first solo trip to China. And it was just so different. I was just so much out of my comfort zone that I thought to myself, if more people would do this, if more people would go out there and travel and get out of their comfort zone, like the world would be just so much better off, right? So right after college, I thought, okay, I need to start working in the travel industry. So I landed a job at Southwest Airlines, and because when you work at an airline, you get these free flights, right? And in one of my trips to Chicago, we bought this product called City Pass. The idea was to save money, but as a result of buying this pass, we ended up going to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. And it was revealing because I would have never visited this venue. Sorry, but I would have never visited this venue if it wouldn't have been for this pass. And it turned out to be the best museum I've ever been to. And so, me and this other girl from Southwest, we decided to replicate this business model in Latin America. So I left my job at Southwest Airlines and started a pilot of this kind of like bundled pass called Bucket Pass. 2 years later, we were already selling passes in 4 different cities in the country. And one of my suppliers for one of these activities that I had for Bucket Pass was Greyline Ecuador. One day I was called by the owners of this company, Josué and Paulo, who you already knew, and they told me, we want to partner with you to create an OTA to sell the empty spaces that we have on our buses, and we know that there are many operators and facing the same kind of issues. So we basically started the first OTA that was specialized selling activities at a discounted rate. You could call it like the outlet for tours and activities. But the idea was to start introducing revenue management in the tours and activities industry. And as the OTA grew, we started talking to more operators and realized that there was a more complex issue behind operators, which was communication with travelers, specifically after they had booked a tour and before they arrived. And so we kind of like pivoted TourOpp from being an OTA to an automated SMS and WhatsApp messaging system that allows customers to communicate with the operator directly through SMS and WhatsApp, which are channels they already know. So that's kind of how I fell into the tours and activities industry. It's kind of been a whole journey, and you've seen a lot of it too.
Mhm. No, for sure. And I know that's one of the things
initially discussing at WTM was TourOpp and how that's now developed into the app and everything else. So yeah, it's been good seeing your journey up until this point. So excellent, and it's such a small world that we knew guys from Greyline, Ecuador as well. So it just shows you how small this world is.
It's a small industry too, right? And you know a lot of the Great Lakes, and I think part of like being connected to that, to the Gray Line network, which included you and many other great people around it. I think that's really what helped TourOpp at the beginning when it was an OTA and helped us introduce us and the brand, to this really great industry that I'm really passionate about now.
Yeah. No, excellent, excellent. So as I mentioned at the start, today we're going to be talking about SMS text messaging and how that can drive sales and marketing. So, and I have to admit, it's not an area I am overly familiar with. I know about it. I know certain things it can be used for. But for those who are fairly unfamiliar with that method, how do you see that helping the sales and marketing process?
Well, if and I'm not saying this for TourOpp, right? I mean, whatever method you use, I mean, every operator, I'm of the opinion that every operator should be using SMS marketing for their business. There's many ways that SMS can help an operator. I feel like operators are spending a lot of money right now to bring customers in. Right? So they're spending on Google ads, on Facebook ads, and even through commissions through OTAs. But once they have that customer, they kind of like leave it there, right? So they don't really take advantage of the relationship that you can build with that customer. That relationship you can only build when there's a two-way street, right? When there's a conversation. Unfortunately, like with other sources of like email, for instance, it's only a one-way street, right? But you need to start asking the customer, and you need to let the customer talk to you back. So the first thing that every operator should do is kind of like try to take advantage and maximize the amount of revenue you can get out of your customer. And this is, it sounds cold, but it's business, right? I mean, especially in this day and age, there's less customers than there used to be, right? So you need to make the most out of them, right? And I talk to a lot of operators every day, and they're always worried about like, I don't want my customer to feel like I'm selling things to them. Like I'm just, they don't want to be the seller, right? Like, and I'm like, well, this customer will really appreciate, if you sell, it's really how you pitch things, right? So you're not selling things to them. You're recommending. You're the local person for that traveler, right? You got to tell them what are things they can do while they're there. So, let's say a customer has booked, a typical city tour. I mean, an operator can take advantage of that, right? To try to get them to book the city tour plus lunch. Or if they have a night tour, or like a ghost tour at night, try to get them to do that as well, because they probably don't have any plans for that night anyways. So the first thing that is very obvious, and it's very easy to relate it, to look at the ROI of this, is trying to do the upselling and the cross-selling, right? So, making sure that customer, is doing as many activities with you as you can, as if it provides value, right? The second thing that is, the also more obvious is kind of like the social media part of it. So you can try to get that customer to follow you on social media, right? But you can also try to interact with them, right? So instead of just saying like, hey, follow me, and kind of like an ad spot, you can say, hey, since you're here, if you take a good picture, upload it to Instagram, right? If you share it in a story, tag us. And, by doing that, you're kind of like, if you're already paying, right, or working on your social media accounts, I mean, this is a way for these customers who have, who you spend money on, right, to follow you on those social media, but not just follow you, but also engage with you on social media, which creates a long-lasting relationship. And there's so many other things you can do. I mean, you can ask them to, what I think about when I think about SMS marketing, I think there's a time for it, right? I mean, I don't think it should be the only channel. I don't think it should be I don't think it should last forever, right? So we have sometimes customers who ask us like, can I send an SMS marketing campaign 1 year after they've been with us? And I tell them no, like, I don't think this is the channel to do that, right?
It'll be a little
I
bit out
think
of the
that's
blue if you did that.
yeah, exactly. That's when they'll get annoyed by you, right? Instead, try to get them to follow you on your or to sign up to your newsletter instead, right? There's clearly a time for it, but I think it's really, really effective for upselling, cross-selling, for you to get more social media followers, for you to get more newsletter subscriptions and whatnot, which are already channels which most of the audience here are probably working on already.
Yeah. No, I love the point you made at the start there, and it goes the same for any method of marketing, in my opinion. But is using that platform or that method not to overly sell to someone. It is giving recommendations. So it's no, I love that aspect, and I think, but we've all received texts, promotional text, and a lot of spam text and things, and it does put people off. So I think a lot of people may be a little bit nervous about using SMS marketing because it does sometimes have those negative connotations and stuff like that. But if you are using it in a way to sort of say, look, well, I recommend you try this place, look at this place, and do that, rather than saying, hey, would you like to buy this or buy that? I think that's probably the best method of using that platform.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think you got to mix it around, right? I mean, sometimes you can if you have morning tour, right? You know that people are going to finish your tour and they're going to start looking out for where to go to lunch, right? Like, you may or may not have partnership with local restaurants, but if you know some of these restaurants around, like how much service can you really provide? Like by telling them, hey, it's the end of your tour. If you're looking for a place for lunch, here are 4 restaurants that we recommend that are nearby. I mean, you may not make a buck out of it, but you're really providing a service for them that will go a long way.
Yeah, yeah. So with that in mind, when do you think something like SMS messaging should be used in the customer journey? At what stage is it? Pre-booking, is it after booking, then it's giving them helpful information, or as you say, upselling and things like that as well? And do you see it should it replace something like email marketing, for example, at a certain stage, or should it complement something like that? And I suppose in the end, so how do travelers react to receiving text rather than an email in your experience?
Again, yeah, I totally agree with you. A lot of operators getting a bit nervous about like sending SMS because they're like, is it too invasive for our customers? Like, I hate receiving text and stuff. In our experience, 9 out of 10 customers. So the way that we do it, and and I invite anyone who does it, whatever way they do it the same way. Once a booking comes in, we actually ask the customer, hey, thanks for booking blah, blah, blah tour on such and such day. We're going to pick you up, or we're going to meet at such and such point, right? We want to send you reminders. We want to send you notifications and relevant updates for this tour specifically. If you agree, say okay. Otherwise, say stop. If they don't reply, you assume that they don't want to get any other text, right? But what's funny is that anywhere from 8 to 9 out of 10 people, it depends on the operator, it depends on the market, but 8 out of 8 or at least 9 out of 10 people will actually say okay. So this is a really good figure, which tells you like people want to receive that, want to receive this text, right? And the difference is that and it's funny because they do it immediately, right? I mean, they don't take time. There's this famous statistic that 87% of people will look at an SMS within the first 5 minutes, right? Which is very different to email, right? And in terms of open rates and all that stuff. And I think the reason for that is because like I said before, it's a two-way street, right? I mean, customers now, like when you get an email, you don't feel like you can respond. And if you respond to it, you know that you're probably not going to get a response within the next few minutes. But when it's SMS, you're kind of like used to like this immediate interaction. So I feel like, and this is very specific to our industry, Chris. For hotels, I feel like it's a very standard product. I mean, like, you book it, whether that's through the hotel's website or through an OTA, you get there. I mean, there's a check-in and check-out times, which are usually very similar, like, and that's it, right? I mean, you have a room, you probably have a shower, and that's it. But for tours and activities, like that's, a jet ski rental is just so different, right? Than a hop on, hop off sightseeing tour, right? I mean, and so the reason why people accept these messages so much in our industry, I feel like it's because they don't really know what to expect, right? So they don't want to miss out on any information. If there's a relevant update regarding traffic or or storm or whatever it is, they want to make sure they're on the loop, right? And so therefore they accept to receive the service, right? Which is different to, I wouldn't recommend doing that via email, right? But, I think, like I said before, I think there's a time for it. I think people want to receive this text for the time being of the tour, and kind of like stop there, right? I mean, I don't think they want to receive a text message 3 months afterwards, because it's so, you look at it so much that, when you receive an email, it's easy to delete it. It's, you take time every single morning to delete all the emails that you're not even going to read.
Well, as soon as you get a notification, you immediately look at your phone. No, it's one of those things that you constantly do, for better or for worse.
Exactly. So people don't want to receive it. So, to answer your question, I think this two should be complementary, right? I don't think you should be sending out launch recommendations via email, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think you should be, telling the customer what to wear and stuff like that on an email, or maybe so, but like, definitely email marketing is for like the ongoing, or at least in my view, for the ongoing engagement with that customer. Like if you want to send them an email a year after they've been, just saying, hey, thank you for being one of the 500,000 people who visited us this year, like do that via email, right? Mm-hmm. Don't do it via text.
Yeah, and I can certainly see the huge benefits of it, especially during the current climate with the pandemic. That the fact that rather than maybe looking at someone's Twitter account or getting an email, that you would actually get a text to say, okay, your slot at this time to be on this tour is now open. You can come along, and just take that whole social distance thing and things up for certain destinations. I can imagine for that side of it would be huge. And I always remember, with talking about Greyline again, but with Greyline Iceland, they would always put out on Twitter to say, we can't take you out to see the Northern Lights now because the cloud cover. It's not. Whereas, if you got a text, you would get that straight away without having to rely on the person looking at Twitter who they might not look at Twitter and they turn up and you're not there. So it's I suppose in a way it also helps with that side of customer service.
Of course. Actually, one of the things that we've implemented, and once again, going back to the service part, right? I mean, it's not all about getting more reviews. It's not all about like the upselling or the cross-selling or any of that. Some of the things that we always tell the operator is, provide a service here. Like, people are happy if people accept to receive this text. They're not accepting to just receive recommendations and things. So we use SMS to tell them what they should wear if it's kind of like, if it's something relevant for the tour, of course, like, or what to expect. And also with the health and social, like, distancing and all that stuff, like, a lot of our clients are kind of like, using this method, right, to tell their customers, like, hey, like, remember to bring your own face mask, like, we're only work at 50% capacity, so the bus is going to be pretty empty, like, just things like that will make the customer feel a lot more, they can feel more sure that they're going to be in a safe space. And, at the beginning, you may not see how this relates to your revenue and all that, but at the end of the day, if people feel sure that they're going to be in a safe space, you have much higher chances of actually them going instead of canceling, right? Mm-hmm. So cancellation rates should drop and all of that, and also no shows for those who have pre-walking tours.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's not just even doing simple things as asking for a review at the end of a trip. Having that as a little text where they can just click a button and leave, instantly leave a little review. It's just that little nudge that some people need.
Exactly. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I've been to, I don't know how many tours already. Like, I love tours. And I've had some very great tour guides and I've been to some really great tours. And the problem is that at the end of the tour, people go, the tour guide is asking you like, hey, please remember to rate us on TripAdvisor on blah, blah, blah. And sometimes they say their names, right? So you can also include your name within your review. But you're just after the tour, right? Then you go to the restaurant, then you do something else, then you get to your hotel, you're tired, you go to sleep. Probably the next day you're taking a plane back, right? Then the next day you're off working, and that's it. I mean, you forgot, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten. I don't know how many times to put out a review. I like putting out reviews, but it takes time because I forgot about it, right? But if you get a text like 4 hours later, 8 hours later, it really depends on the market. It depends on a few things, right? But if you get a reminder a day later and it says, "Oh, just click here," it's just so easy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's and we've seen review rates go up by 150%, 200%. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing numbers. That really is good. So would you say is there any difference or much difference in using a system like this between sort of day tours and multi-day tours? Would it be pretty much the same way and the same methods of promoting a business through that thing, or do you say there's any differences that you can maybe no maybe sort of advise on?
No, I mean, definitely, you got to take different strategies, right? I mean, we've worked with a few multi-day tour operators, and they use it a lot more of a service than what a day tour operator would do, right? I mean, if you're booking a 1,200, 5-day tour, right, or something like that, I mean, you expect a level of service that is going to really your expectations are going to be really high, right? And I think that's really the focus that multi-day operators should have is telling their customer and sending out a campaign. We can and again, you can do this in many different ways, but potentially, you can send out a different message for day one, like, hey, welcome to, the start of a great 5-day journey or something like that, right? Just welcoming them. That's it, right?
Mhm.
Just welcoming them. And then on day two, you can tell them, today we're going to do this, and that, right? And, get ready because bring your cameras because we're going to do such and such things. And then on day three, recommendations on today we're going to a swamp, so make sure you bring your boots, right? And, or if they have some free space in the middle, you can do some of the upselling that we were talking about, right? Hey, you've got the afternoon free today, but if you're looking for something to do, here's our recommendations. And, the multi-day tour operator can still do some of those things, but most of it is going to be just a service, right? Just kind of communicating with them, getting a text in the morning, and making sure people kind of do their things. Whereas in day operator, you're going to send out one recommendation message. Usually it's not, the interaction is just a lot shorter, right? But I think at the end of the day, there's definitely benefits to both of them, right? On one, you provide more of a service. On the other one, you may go and look more for the cross-selling or the upselling. But at the end of the day, I think both types of operators should definitely use it.
Mhm. Nice one, nice one. So obviously, TourOpp Go provides the services that we've all been mentioning for tours and activity providers. But say, for example, you have a provider who relies really heavily on an OTA, and as a lot of us know, OTAs don't really pass on customer details and phone numbers and things like that. So, do you guys have a solution to get around that, or is there any solutions that you can give to operators to get around that if they wanted to use your app?
Well, actually, OTAs do provide, most OTAs will provide customers' phone number, especially when you're connected to the API of.
Mm.
So if you're using a booking system, right, that is connected to, say, Viator or Get Your Guide or Klook or whatever that is, sometimes, I mean, and this is, and I understand why OTAs, we may get into the debate, but
We'll be here
right,
all day.
could be here all day, right? But they do provide that phone number when it's through that API. So because we're connected to the to the operators' booking systems, we actually get that information as well, right? So it's not on the email, right? And I understand why, right? You don't want, an external person working for the operator just, grabbing numbers and creating a whole database for that. But it comes through the API, and because it's coming through the API, it's also coming to us. And we do reach out to customers who are on the OTA. And, most OTAs, if you look at their terms and conditions, one of the things that they say is, you can contact the customer. We're going to provide you with some of their phone details so that, OTAs know that they're not omnipresent, right? I mean, there are times when the operator needs to contact the client because, like you said, right, in Iceland, if they can't see the Northern Lights, I mean, you can't go through the OTA, just to tell them about that, right? So, that's why they provide the phone numbers. And that's why we also limit, at TourOpp Go specifically, that's why we also limit operators to contact the customer only until the customer has left the tour, like 1 day or something like that. We allow them to, to ask for the review and all that stuff. But we don't allow them to kind of like send these marketing emails or these marketing SMS campaigns to a customer who came from an OTA, right? So OTAs are very much aware that TourOpp Go exists, right? And I think, we're helping the OTA operator relationship in many ways. First of all, one of the things that we can do, and we try to do for customers who want to do this, is we allow the operator. Let's say the OTA has a policy where you can't promote your own website to their customers, right? So one of the things that we do is, okay, we can, let's say the customer came through Expedia, right? We can direct them back to that operator's Expedia products, right? So in this case, right, I mean, the OTA is getting more bookings, right, which they're going to be very grateful for, right? The operator is getting more bookings as well, right? And you can argue, well, but those bookings come with a commission and all that stuff, right? But the OTA is going to choose the cross-selling campaigns, but you're not even sure they're going to do it with your products, right? I mean, the OTA is just going to promote the algorithm from the OTA. It's going to send out a marketing campaign, and your competitors' products are likely going to be included within that marketing campaign. So what we tell these operators is, you should rather promote your own products within that OTA, which is also going to help the algorithm, bring up your listings and all that stuff. Once you have more reviews, it's also going to bring up your listings, which is going to bring more volume for you. And at the end of the day, it's also less travel for the OTA, because one of the things that we do is, we have a chatbot that responds to customers' questions on the go, right? So there's less of the, 3 a.m. calls from Las Vegas, from Viator, to the operator saying, hey, I have a customer, right, with me, and he's asking whether he can bring his child with, to the tour and stuff like that. And, there's less of that because, the answers to these customers' questions are responded directly. Now, you're going to tell me, well, in that case, it seems like it's very much pro OTA or something like that. But by actually reaching out to a customer and saying, hey, this is Chris Torres Walking Tours, right? You're promoting your own brand, and you may bring some of the booking, the sales back, but you're promoting your own brand. And now the customer is not going to just say, hey, I booked a tour, or I went on a tour in Rome with Viator. No, they're going to say, I booked a tour on Viator, but it was with an operator called blah, blah, blah. Like, one of the things that I saw as an OTA so much when we were working as an OTA is that a lot of people don't remember the name of the operator. Like, when they book through an OTA, because a lot of times they hide the name of the operator there, which is an argument I actually give you credit for. I think they should promote the operator's brand more. Sometimes they don't even know the name of the brand, like of the operator's brand. And so, we are helping this type of customers, and which are a lot, right? Kind of like foster that relationship with the OTA while also improve, help their brand and help their social media accounts and their newsletter and all that stuff.
No, excellent. No, I can't agree more. No, I think something that helps them, and even if you just get a phone number, being able to look at the dialing codes and the country codes from that, so you can then say, okay, well, I know most of my customers today was a +44, so they came from the UK or whatever other destination. So it even allows you to at least get some indication of where your customers are coming from. So a lot of people don't look at phone numbers; they look at emails, and they think, when they don't have an email, how am I going to, contact someone or know where they've came from? Whereas just by looking at country codes, you can get a better understanding of the various destinations they've came from, etc. So it's often overlooked. So.
Yeah, definitely. Like some of the demographics and stuff like that. And a lot of operators have this manual processes, right? Where they, once they are on the tour, right, they tell them like, hey, if you want to get the pictures that we provided for you, like or they do the whole waiver stuff, right, to collect those emails, to collect some of the demographics, right, and to sign them up to their newsletter and things like that, which I think are valid, right? But one of the things that, we can do is, or that you can achieve through SMS marketing, wherever way you do it is, you can achieve that automatically, right? You don't have to have your tour guide kind of like manually, and especially these days, right, providing out a hand, like, and a pencil that everyone's touched, right, and everything. You can just do it, you can just do it via text messaging, and get those customers to sign up for your newsletter, to follow you on social media and stuff like that.
I know, and you actually just said something there that's really important now. Is if anything, what the pandemic has done is it's accelerated people's thoughts about using technology, and now, yes, not having tickets when you go on tour, it's all going to be phone based, it's all going to be through SMS and all these other things, so you don't have to touch a physical ticket, or as you say, a pencil, or do something. Everything's going to try to be as touchless as possible, and more and more people are getting used to that. So it's, if anything, it's only going to accelerate even further in that direction. So
agreed. Yeah. So, I mean, it's how operators, and not just operators, I feel like hotels are going for that as well. Airlines, I mean, there's got to be less, and you got to find ways to go about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think I mentioned it was near the start of the pandemic, and I still stand by it, that I do think it might take 20 years or so, but or maybe less, but you just never know. But I actually do think, because of this, we've now started to see the death of paper money. I think that will now, sort of just not be as readily available, and all be digital now, just again because you're passing something over to someone. I think it will. So it's
that goes for tips too, right? I mean, for tour guides, we're helping a few clients who wanted to provide like digital way for clients to provide a tip, because I personally never carry cash.
I'm the same.
Just a funny, like, 1 minute story. Last, ITV, I think you actually didn't actually. The ITV that was canceled, right, with Arrival back in April of 2020 or March. We actually we never actually took money out of an ATM. We came up with zero cash. We just tried it out. And the only thing we couldn't do is buy this kind of like, they have this ham back in Prague, because we actually went to Prague because there was nothing to do in Berlin anymore. So we went to Prague, and the only thing we couldn't do is eat that ham. But for the rest of it, we actually survived with just credit cards. And that speaks to I think a lot of travelers. They don't want to carry cash anymore. Going to the place where they convert their dollars for euros or vice versa. So the more you can go towards that, I think it's better. Yeah,
for sure. No, I completely agree. So if anyone wanted to know more about TourOpp and what you guys do, what's the best ways of getting in touch?
Well, I mean, I invite anyone to reach out to me directly. I'm just like you, Chris. I think, you talk to a lot of your clients, and anyone, not just your clients, but anyone who wants to get in touch with you. I think you're very available, and I'm the same way. So if anyone wants any advice regarding SMS marketing, even if it's not through TourOpp, like I really I'm like this. I mean, I found customers who have found their ways around it through different applications and stuff like that. And I'm happy to still give you some advice on some of the things that we've seen with our clients. So my email is daniel@touropp.com. Or you can also reach out to us at go@touropp.com. But our website is go.tourup.com. So instead of www, it's go.tourup.com, or you got the Facebook and everything, and and if anyone wants to try it, like sorry, give me my spot here, but but if anyone just wants to try SMS marketing, it's just like, is this something that helps me or not? Again, the easy way to go about it, instead of like having to find always, is give it a try through us at least, right? We provide a 21-day free trial, at least for the time being. We removed setup fees when the pandemic started. We haven't brought them back in, so there's no setup fees. You don't even need a credit card to sign up. So you can try it. If it works for you, then you can decide whether TourOpp's for you, or if you want to do your own workarounds. So happy to discuss strategy with you, and I'm sure Chris is also is going to be a great resource for how to complement your email marketing and with your SMS marketing and stuff. So yeah, I think it's the best way around.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and that's great to know. So, anyone who's interested in this, please do get in touch with Daniel. He'll help you out whether you use TourOpp or not. So, Daniel, I can't thank you enough. No, it's great knowing more about this subject. No, like I say, I know some of it. Something, no, SMS sort of marketing is not something we've done a lot of, really, to be honest. But it's something we're looking to get more and more into, because we see the benefits of it, and we see, just especially now, as I mentioned, with the pandemic and everything else, how more important it's going to be going forward, having tools like this, and just to help that customer, whether it's upselling or just through pure customer service, just to help them out. So, so again, thank you so much for your time, and can't thank you enough.
Appreciate it, Chris. Appreciate having me here, and yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Thank you.